What's going on, everybody? It's Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and this is going to be a little bit of a two-pronged video. The first part of this is going to be probably very quick and probably very easy and fairly painless, but the second one is the more important part of it. Anyway, we'll get to that and why and how and the deets a little bit later, but well, let's just get going anyway. So what are we talking about here for this first part? Well, it is officially announced that Microsoft are ending production on specific Xbox One models. Now, they are specifically going to be cancelling, well, it's officially cancelled as of today, the Xbox One X and all variants, as well as the Xbox One S All Digital Edition. That's the Xbox One SAD Edition for you guys out there. But they will still continue to produce the Xbox One S. So the regular Xbox One S is still in production. This is counter-indicated, or it goes against whatever the fanboys are saying, because there are quotes and statements out there very, very recently from Phil Spencer about how what they're doing with Xbox Series L and Xbox One and PC and having the games, for at least the first-party games for the next few years, be developed and work across all three of these platforms. And their whole thing is, well, we're not forcing people into buying next gen right away. And a lot of people are out there saying that the regular Xbox One S is going to be discontinued, or it is discontinued as of today with these other models, and therefore there is no way to continue to buy the old ones, so they're essentially forcing you onto the next generation. This is untrue because the Xbox One S will still be in production. It is just the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S All Digital Edition that are cancelled. And this all kind of makes perfect sense, really, because if you have too many models floating around, which is absolutely 100% the case in the Microsoft side of it, because with the likes of the Xbox One S, the potential, we'll just use it for argument's sake because people have already bought them out there, the Xbox One S All Digital Edition, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series L, and of course what would potentially be the Xbox Series S. That is a lot of hardware, a lot of marketing, a lot of miscommunication between consumers, between purchasers, between families, kids, parents that don't know what they're doing, etc., etc. So it makes perfect sense that they're cutting it down to practically, well, to just basically 1 to 2 models. I'd say 1 for the old generation, and from what we know at least so far, 1 for the new generation. However, I do wish they would completely kill off Xbox One ASAP and factor out that piece of crap hardware as soon as possible so we can get actual next generational games on Xbox style platforms. That even includes the multiplats on PC. But now we'll move on to the other part of the video, the kind of more important one, because I've always praised Microsoft in their approach, or many of their approaches, to the Xbox Series L. Specifically, it was down to transparency and attention to detail. What I mean by that is when they put out a new feature or they detailed a new feature or improvement or whatever it is, they gave as much detail as possible. They gave practically every answer covered in almost every situation, and I always applauded them for that. I don't always agree with all of their decisions, but in this one I thought that was very, very good. But there has still been kind of 1 or 2 little very niche questions out there, and it kind of goes against marketing, which is why you always need to pay extremely close attention to what they're promising and what they're saying. It's generally not exactly what it seems on the face of it all. Remember, all of these comments and statements and prepared whatever it is, these are all put together by people with master's degrees in marketing and psychology and business and whatnot. This is all 100% tailor-made, nuanced to confuse you, to get their exact message across, to make you forget about something or not question something. And in this case, what we're talking about is kind of the sham, or the lie, if you will, that Microsoft have kind of been perpetuating. They have said, because of their development philosophy using Xbox One, Xbox Series L and PC and the cross-generational development and whatnot, they wanted to do the same with games as well as hardware, with stuff like the Xbox Elite controller, the Xbox Adaptive controller, and pretty much the majority of all your extra accessories. So they basically wanted to say that all your games, or at least the vast majority of your games, and the vast majority of your accessories will also be forward compatible, working on the likes of Xbox Series L. Now today Microsoft detailed that a little bit more, and they have said it's our intent for all Xbox One games that do not require Kinect to play on Xbox Series L at the time of launch. And because of the unprecedented power of Xbox Series L, most of your favorite games will load faster and look and perform many times better on the new console. So basically he's saying that any game out there that doesn't require Kinect to play, it's not including the ones that have extra additional features that can be played normally without it, but the actual full-on ones that 100% require Kinect to play will either work on Xbox Series L if they don't require it, or they won't if they do. Now, in the very next sentence after all of this, Phil Spencer goes on to say that your Xbox One gaming accessories come into the future with you too. The Xbox One Elite controller, the Xbox Adaptive Controller all work on Xbox Series L. So you don't have to purchase new controllers. And we believe that your investments in gaming should move with you into the next generation. Now, these two statements counteract each other because the Xbox Kinect is an accessory. It is an investment. And it should move forward with you into the next generation. And you're probably thinking, oh, Q, they can't put a Kinect port on the back of an Xbox Series L. That's absolutely silly. And yeah, you're dead right. That is 100% silly. And no one should ever ask for that at all. But you might remember, or maybe you don't because it's very, very obscure. Xbox One is a dead console. And let's face it, Kinect is even more obscure. There is a USB to Kinect adapter because stuff like the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, they have no Xbox Kinect port, but there is a specific officially made USB adapter that does this. Now, here's the thing, okay? You can use that on the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S, and because the operating system on the Xbox Series L is going to be the exact same operating system, the software should already be built in natively to the OS. They are choosing to not support it. They are actively cutting it out. So this is a prime example of why you cannot take what they are saying and what they are promising at face value. Now, you can argue stuff like semantics or the fact that, oh, no one cares it's Kinect. And yes, you're dead right, no one should care it's Kinect. But the problem here is the promise they made is contradicted by what they are actually doing. If they had said most of them or some of them, it would be a whole other story. But also the fact that they are actively cutting it out because the software is already there and built in, and the Xbox Series L will not support the USB to Kinect adapter. So remember everyone, stay vigilant, pay attention to detail, always read the fine print. It's no surprise that they just stopped talking about stuff like this. Hell, I've made several videos on it before, but trust me, search my channel and go back and look at all the videos I made about smart glass.